Barbados is sending troops to Haiti as part of a multinational force. The BTMI to create a tourism link with Africa. The lobby intensifies for front-of-package labeling. And in sports, Barbados, Jamaica and Guyana win in today's Women's Super 50.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. The Barbados Defense Force is preparing to send troops to Haiti as part of a multinational intervention to help restore order there. It comes some 30 years after the island's last deployment to Haiti for Operation Restore Democracy. Military advisor to the Chief of Staff, Lieutenant Colonel Carlos Lovell, made the disclosure this morning at the launch of the BDF's 45th anniversary celebrations at St. Anne's Fort the Garrison. While he cannot say how soon troops will be deployed, Lieutenant Colonel Lovell has revealed that the BDF is in the planning stages.
They are members of the Barbados Defense Force who are engaged in pre-mission training, preparing them not just physically, not just with regard to security operations and tactics, but also from a psychological standpoint to face the challenges when we do arrive in Haiti as part of a multinational task force. We also have persons who are in the Barbados Defense Force still who were part of that multinational intervention in Haiti in 1994, and we are making the best use of those individuals to be able to pass on some of the knowledge, some of the information, and some of the cultural nuances with respect to the Haitian people.
Lieutenant Colonel Lovell adds the Barbados Defense Force is currently in discussions with the other governments across the region as part of CARICOM's commitment to finding a solution to the unrest in Haiti. Regarding the anniversary celebrations this year, Lovell says several activities are planned for this year under the theme Proving Excellence, Shaping the Future. They include an inaugural media boot camp and the 120th anniversary of the Cadet Corps. He's underscored the importance of the BDF's role locally and regionally.
We've also been pivotal in shaping the future of Barbados in terms of our youth development and building young leaders in the Cadet Corps. Originally, the BDF operated as a force for good and stability in Grenada in 1983. We participated in peacekeeping operations in Haiti in 1994, and more recently we deployed to Dominica to quell unrest in 2019 surrounding their elections.
The Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated has its eyes set on creating a linkage between Barbados and Africa this year. That's according to the chairman, Shelley Williams. She was responding to comments that enough was not being done to tap into that market.
That is not accurate. Any new emerging market, we have to do it responsibly. So looking at the African market, it is a new market for us. We've been talking to a lot of players. At first, you have to wait for the MOUs to happen. So from the ministerial level, they have to then sign agreements with certain parts of Africa. And then from there, we look and see what is the best place and who are the players.
Mr. Williams says the goal is to create a sustainable partnership between Barbados and Africa with regular airlift rather than one-off connection opportunities.
We have traditionally gone to charters and whoever comes to Barbados comes to Barbados. We don't want that. We want our way forward is to have a scheduled service, ideally for us twice weekly, and have a proper build out. And when I say a proper build out, having representation from the tourism BTMI, having an office maybe in Ghana, maybe in Kenya, wherever our diplomatic corps already exists, having an office within that department.
Small island developing states are facing challenges in the race to achieving sustainable development goals. The revelation was made by Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office, Dr. Chantal Munro-Knight, as she addressed the annual coordination meeting for the United Nations Multi-Country Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework at Wyndham Grand, Barbados Sam Lord's Castle today. She told that meeting, attended by government and private sector stakeholders from the Dutch and English-speaking Caribbean, that development government finances to fight climate change is diminishing in quality and quantity. Trevor Thorpe has more.
Minister Munro Knight told the gathering that the meeting is taking place at an important time when many things are happening. She said different circumstances are coming together, creating a defining moment which could bring about changes which need to be confronted.
The statistics suggest that a recent study on the progress of the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals done by ECLAC says to us that only 25% of the SDG targets for which data is available are on track to be met by 2030. About half of the targets, 48%, are moving in the right direction, but not at a sufficient pace to reach the finish line by 2030. And alarmingly, 27% of the targets are going in reversal or show no change at all.
According to Minister Munro Knight, a scaling up of the island's sustainable development goals is needed, and this meeting is timely.
Barbados has, in 2023, completed our voluntary national review. And one of the key findings of that was that as a government, we have done quite well in the context of our implementation. Many of our sustainable development targets are on track. We have, I think, approximately about 48% are on track to be achieved by 2030. But that there is a challenge to make sure that we continue to ground our policies directly, one, within communities that need them the most, and that we are able to address the real needs and concerns of the most vulnerable. And I say that very honestly and openly.
The United Nations Resident Coordinator for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, Didier Trebec, admitted that an acceleration of the efforts towards the 2030 goals is needed and gave notice that an increase in funding is in the offing.
Last year, in the similar ACM that we did online, there was also a very strong call from member states to intensify the support from the United Nations on financing for development. Because we all know that it's key. It's a key enabler for sustainable development. So we really took your message at heart, and we have worked together as a whole UN development system to really solidify this UN offer on financing for development. And you will hear today a preliminary proposal of this offer from the UN, which we hope can help in the years to come to accelerate access to financing for development.
Financing for development, discussion on government interventions, and a panel discussion on shared prosperity and economic resilience occupied the attention of the delegates at today's meeting. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Another call has been made for the establishment of a Scotland District Authority. Deputy Prime Minister Cynthia Bradshaw has told the Ministry of Agriculture during the estimates debate that it is needed. Ms. Bradshaw, who is also the Minister of Transport and Works, has been working closely with the Agriculture Ministry through the Scotland Road Rehabilitation Project.
I know we've spoken to it before. We have indicated that it is a necessity because we're doing the works, but we really need a body to manage the Scotland district and to help to educate and to advise on a number of the development plans within the area. But I don't see that reflected in this year's estimates. Now, I don't know if we are creeping before we walk, in the sense that we are going to, under professional services, you have allocated for additional professional staff to be able to assist, or if it is that finance has not been so generous to allow for the establishment of the entity.
In response, Minister of Agriculture Indar Ware says the Scotland District Authority legislation is being reviewed by its attorney.
We are working through that. We have had some delays, let me admit that. But we will get back to that legislation so that we can bring it back here and make it a suitable fit for what we are hoping to achieve at the Scotland District. Scotland District is highly technical.
Well, there may soon be additional opportunities for individuals interested in agriculture to get into farming. That disclosure from the Agriculture Minister, who says his ministry plans to bolster the efforts of the Community Agricultural Response for Enfranchisement, or the CARE project, in the next financial year. The minister says with Cabinet's approval, a number of aquaponics farms will be set up in each constituency.
What I want to do this year is to get that project moving, where we would distribute the 10 aquaponic farms per constituency and ramp up from there, so that those people who are unemployed or those people who like home gardening or community farming can participate. The cost of that is set at $1.5 million, I think it is. And we have before the Cabinet a paper which is speaking to how we can get the funds to get that project going.
Senior Agricultural Officer Brett Taylor says officials are concerned about a new pest impacting the island's sea island cotton. He says the same pest affects okras.
After the chief and I visited some farmers and we took our samples and we sent it for identification, it came back as a new insect to the region. Some of my colleagues in other Caribbean countries have also been seeing this pest, and it is one that is not only of concern to me because of it is affecting okra, but it is also affecting one of our indigenous crops, cotton. So it's also affecting cotton. And these are of great importance to us.
The sugarcane industry in Barbados is alive and well. Ambassador Dr. Clyde Maskell made that submission during the estimates debate, as he said production has actually increased in recent years. The BAMC chairman maintains that the crop remains important to the development of the agriculture sector.
In the last 4 years, we have increased the production of cane in Barbados by almost 25%. But why is this important? It is important because you cannot have a sustainable non-sugar agriculture unless you have sugar agriculture, because you have to do rotation. And therefore, the notion that you can have a future agriculture without sugar cane is a joke. As a result of that, it means that we expect not only to be able to produce more cane in Barbados, from which we will get more sugar, but more importantly, we can produce more molasses.
Chief Veterinary Officer Dr. Mark Trotman says Barbados has come a long way as the country is processing imports more quickly than before. Despite the progress, he says agricultural officials still have a responsibility to ensure they do not let down stakeholders or the country. He revealed that imported meats and meat products pose the biggest threats to the introduction of serious viruses and bacteria.
We talked about the responsibility of the port being security and commerce. Part of security is biosecurity, which means protecting the country from the entry of biological agents, which are pathogens. So we have a big responsibility to make sure that these things do not enter the country. We do not have the resources in this country to react to an entry of one of these pathogens. It will decimate our agricultural industry. Some of them are zoonotic. They will also kill people. So the responsibility is big there.
We'll take a break here, but coming up, the lobbyists are turning up the pressure for front-of-package label warnings. The Ministry of Education is moving to address concerns about literacy and numeracy deficits in primary schools. Minister of Education Kay McCartney has announced that they are moving to appoint special teachers to help address the issues from the next school year. She made the comment at the launch of the National Task Force on Literacy Education at the Erdeston Teachers Training College.
Our ministry, led by our Chief Education Officer, will be seeking to ensure that those literacy and numeracy teachers in primary school should be in place by September of 2024. And this came from teachers crying out and saying, we teach many things across primary schools, but we need support.
Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer Bradshaw says an analysis of national data from the 2012 to 2021 has revealed issues with performance in English at the Infants B and Class 2 levels. She says problems have also been identified from 2023 secondary school data. Dr. Archer Bradshaw says the National Task Force, chaired by educator Dr. Sylvia Henry, will collaborate with the ministry to elevate literacy levels in Barbados.
The overarching objectives of the task force are to provide strategic direction and leadership on matters related to literacy education, improve students' reading and writing outcomes, foster love for reading among children and adults in Barbados, collaborate with educational institutions, community organizations, and government agencies to develop and implement initiatives that promote reading, conduct research and analyze findings to identify key challenges and opportunities in the field of literacy education locally.
The lobby for implementation of front-of-package warning labels is intensifying. The latest effort involves the launch of a media campaign by the Heart and Stroke Foundation at the Golden Square Freedom Park in Bridgetown. Chairperson of the Barbados Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition, Professor Ann St. John, says concern remains that many prepackaged foods have high levels of added sugars, sodium, saturated fats, and refined carbohydrates. She says nutrition warning systems are important to tackling the growing problem of chronic non-communicable diseases.
The policy in Barbados has been shown projections that it could prevent at least 16% of deaths from diet-related NCDs and save US dollars $732.8 million as estimated in mortality costs, further supporting the effective front-of-package warning labels as an important tool to protect public health.
President of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners, Dr. Linda Williams, says several Barbadians are considered medically obese and are at risk of developing major health problems. She says ways must be found to avoid a crisis.
If a water source was contaminated, we would warn them not to drink water from that source. We know that tobacco is bad for health. We place warning signs on the front of the cigarette package, sometimes with graphic pictures to warn of the consequences of smoking. In the same way, public health practitioners and medical doctors are duty-bound to advocate for the right to warn people about what we know will have long-term consequences for the person, their families, and the nation as a whole. We must warn people about what they consume.
A 20-year-old man has been charged in connection with last week's stabbing death of Renario Taylor. He is Tani Alexander Harris of Melrose, St. Thomas. Emergency officials reportedly responded to a dispute between the two relatives last week at Goose Bar at Melrose. One man received a wound to his chest during that incident. Both men were taken to hospital, the Eunice Gibson Polyclinic, where they received medical attention. Taylor died while receiving that attention.
Sports Night is brought to you by Power Aid, Pause is Power, and by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after.
Time now for all the action in Sports Night as we're joined by Anne-Marie Burke. Anne-Marie, good evening.
Good evening, Pearson, and I begin with news of track and field. Commerce has taken the lead in both the boys and girls sections at the end of day 2 of this year's Dasani Power Aid Barbados Secondary Schools Athletics Championships at Harrison College. The athletes from Waterford are out front in the girls with 51 points, followed by the Allen School with 47 and SMS Cougars 41. In the boys, Commerce have a 10-point lead over Queen's College. Going into day 3, Combermere will start on 61, Queen's College 51, while Christchurch Foundation are third with 29 points. CBC's Almar Goodrich Boyce reports on some of today's action.
Glorious sunshine as the field events for BSAT 2024 continued at Crumpton Street. Let's take in the action from the junior girls discus throw. 16 competitors in this event, going after a 26-year record of 36.96 meters set by Shernell Nichols back in 1998. Perhaps that was asking a bit too much for these girls, but nevertheless, the competition on day 2 was still very entertaining. Down to the final 8, and look at this throw. It's a big one, and the winning one from Tyra Griffith of Courage and Parry, 28.86 meters the distance. And it was sweet redemption for Griffith, who was 8th last year. A tremendous turnaround. Well done. Christine White of SMS Cougars was 2nd with 23.83 meters, while Jazaria Ward of Aline finished 3rd with 22.92. Move across to the under-20 boys javelin, where the lads were aiming for 58 meters to put them a spot on the Carifta team. We started with 28, which was reduced to the 8 best, and though the competitors did not hit the Carifta standards, the quality of the competition was pretty good. After the first attempt, the battle was between Zachary Alexander of Christchurch Foundation, Damani Roach of QC, and Combermere's RJ Gittins. And despite Roach putting up a valiant fight, Alexander produced this for the victory. A throw of 51.20 meters, and that's the crowning moment. Roach settled for 2nd with 49.54, while Gittins took 3rd with 47.44. Tomorrow, the BSAT field events continue on day 3. And Margaret Ridge Boys, CBC Sports.
To football now, Paradise moved to the top of the BFA Premier League with a convincing 4-1 win over Kickstart Rush last night at Valerie. Carl Hinkson opened the scoring for Kickstart Rush after 2 minutes, but the brace from Tyra Rayside, the Mendoka, and goals from Ronaldo Trim and Shakiri Motley helped Paradise to inflict Kickstart's first defeat of the season. Meantime, Niall Reid-Stephen produced a lone goal for UW Blackbirds 9 minutes from time as they defeated Deacons by a narrow 1-0 scoreline. Now, Barbados are back into 3rd place after round 4 of the inaugural 50th anniversary CARICOM Chess Team Championship being played in Guyana. Last night, Barbados defeated Cayman Islands 3-1 to improve their record to 2-2. Katrina Blackman is still unbeaten for the tournament on board number 3, while other victories came from Emar Edwards on board 31 and Hannah Wilson on board number 4. Dr. Philip Corbin lost the only game on board number 2 as he blundered, going on for an outright victory in a match that was seemingly heading for a draw. Now, Barbados moved from 5th to 3rd and are now behind undefeated leaders Trinidad and Tobago and the 2nd place Guyana. Today was a rest day.
The Business Report is brought to you with the kind compliments of the National Insurance and Social Security Service. More than a contribution, it's your lifeline.
In tonight's business report, a new money market broker has opened its doors in Barbados. It's Jamaica Money Market Brokers Limited, located on the 2nd floor of Hastings Business Center at Hastings. And before cutting the ribbon to declare the office open, Executive Director Michael Jordan said the opening of the offices in Barbados is a pivotal moment in the company's ability to provide financial expertise in a competitive market.
Initially, our focus will be on delivering a concise suite of investment solutions tailored to the needs of state-related entities, corporates, institutions, and high net worth individuals. Our offerings will include JMMB International Access, which is an online international brokerage service, access to regional equity and fixed income markets, and various capital market solutions.
The JMMB top official told the audience, which included Minister of Energy and Business Development, Senator Lisa Cummins, that the office is more than just a physical space, but a commitment to service excellence.
At the heart of our ethos lies a commitment to love and best interest, principles that guide us in every decision we make and every service we provide. We've built a legacy of trust, partnership, collaboration, and best interest in communities and countries that we serve. Love is the driving force behind everything we do. It's the unwavering commitment to our clients' best interests the genuine care and compassion we bring to every single interaction, and the deep-rooted desire to make a positive impact in the lives of those we serve.
A call is being made for the youth to be given a better understanding of financial matters. It's coming from Minister of Energy and Business Development, Senator Lisa Cummins, who was speaking during the Fund Access Keeping It Real series. She said a financial literacy program has already started in schools and is the lead up to a financial literacy summit that has been earmarked for Barbados next year.
There must be a financial literacy summit. Barbados must host the inaugural financial literacy summit for our youth, our children, and then integrate the communities in the same way that we have already rolled it out in our schools and we're rolling it out in our communities. 2025 must be that environment where every school in Barbados assembles at a conference facility where they learn and they understand about the relationship between financial literacy and entrepreneurship and business development.
And true to her word, Anne-Marie Burke is back with more sports. Anne-Marie.
I start right into the sea I go with 59-year-old Brian Talma, who is showing he still has it. The Barbadian international windsurfer captured the second-place trophy at the recently concluded Master of the Ocean Wind and Wave World Championship in the Dominican Republic. Talma actually was the defending champion after winning last year's event. During an interview with CBC Sports, Talma said he's elated with his performance given the tough conditions.
Really happy to come second, but more so also I dominated on the kite surfing section. I won that one. It was really amazing because it was magical because the wind kind of shifted. So if you're a left-hander or right-hander and you shift to the other side, so it shifted on the other side, and that really allowed me to really excel. And it was really a good event because what I was able to do is also execute the Global Organic Master Plan. And what we did is on one day we had a community day. On that community day, we did everything about the community, but what I did was able to execute the Beach Culture World Tour, and when I say beach culture, the Global Organic Tourism Action Plan. So we had a carnival, which is culture. We had environment. Kids were making instruments out of garbage. We had education. There's workshops for the kids in the community. So we had everything. It's culture. This is a culture event. So everything, we blended everything. We had sports because we were doing sports. So we blended everything together on that community and really executed and showcased it.
Talma also says he has big plans for the remainder of the year with several events scheduled for Europe. Now, approximately 35 bodybuilding and fitness judges, along with 27 athletes, participated in a two-day workshop recently held at the BFA headquarters in Wildeen. Hailing from 7 countries, Aruba, Colombia, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, and host Barbados, the seminars were split into 2. Day 1 was focused on refreshing and shaping judges for competition, while Day 2 was for updating athletes on the strategies of the sport. Director of Sports at the National Sports Council, Neil Murrell, told the attendees that such workshops are vital.
The foundation for all sports is bodybuilding and body fitness. Because in order for you to improve and develop in your sport, you must build capacity in terms of muscles and nutrition and so on. And that's why it's so important that we have seminars like these.
Tributes continue to pour in for former national female basketball player and netballer Shakira Shori, who passed away this week after a long battle with cancer. Best friend, fellow educator Anella Michael remembers her fondly.
When Shakira found out in July of last year that she wasn't well, she mentally prepped me for everything. And she was like, I need you to be strong. And she never kept anything from me. We were through it all. She went on terms leave. She had already booked her vacation before she found out what was going on. And she went, and that's how she was in Canada, because she went on a vacation. She went on a vacation to enjoy terms leave. We stick by each other through telephone calls, video calls, you know. And then after the doctors try everything that they can, and she was coming home, she called me. She said, "Sis, I packing. I coming home." I was definitely miss her last week. We had a little scare, and I told her, "She came, my birthday's Monday." She said, "You can do the most for your birthday, and I want you to enjoy your birthday." My birthday was the 4th of March. Shakira passed the 5th. She made sure that I enjoyed my birthday without having to worry about her.
Meanwhile, former national men's basketballer Mark Foster says he was fortunate to visit Shakira before she passed away.
Shakira is one of the role models in sports in Barbados, leading by example, displaying a level of professionalism that was unmatched, both as a player and an official through various disciplines. A short reflection of her life, would reveal how passionate she was about sports, about the youth, and it was evident that she was beloved by many of her students at school and any of the players that she would have associated herself with. Shakira's influence, has touched many hearts. She will be missed in its entirety, but her legacy will continue.
Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. By God's will, we'll see you tomorrow.